Over a year stripped of his light heavyweight title after turning himself in for a felony charge on a hit and run in April of 2015. Jon Bones Jones, the first champion in UFC history to be stripped of a title due to disciplinary reasons. And since that incident, has also been charged with driving without a license and drag racing. As we're joined face to face here on Sportscenter with former UFC champion Jon Bones Jones. Reinstated in October, preparing to fight Ovince St. Preux at UFC 197 this weekend in Vegas. So
that's quite the introduction.
It's been a while. Well, we have to tell your story.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear it from you. What has the last year been like?
You know, the last year has been it's been a major learning situation for sure. You know, I've had the opportunity to kind of, you know, be vulnerable in front of the world. You know, step away from sports for a while, you know, work on myself as a person, as a parent. You know, it sounds weird to hear, but, you know, it's been a blessing in disguise. You know, I've really just got to kind of reevaluate a lot of things and find out what means most to me. And I feel better. I feel better after going through all the things I've been through.
What was the low point for you?
The low point for me, it would have to have been getting my belt stripped, you know, losing all my endorsements. You know, it was really tough. But like I said, you know, there was a blessing in disguise there, you know, to be endorsed by some of the top companies in the world and be a 9-time world champion. You know, I got to a point where I was taking it all for granted. You know, forgetting how much of a special thing it is to be in that type of position, to be a pro athlete. And so, you know, once it was all taken away, you know, that's when I really started to appreciate more what I had, and it's really lit a fire under my butt to get it all back. So you know, today I stand here, you know, a much more driven, determined, appreciative athlete.
You told Rolling Stone that for much of your career you were in an altered state, you know, that you were using drugs and alcohol. And your quote was, pretty much my whole career, I wasn't living like a champ. Were you in an altered state during your fights? No.
You know, I started to experiment with marijuana at a very young age, and was able to compete, well, train, you know, while being a smoker, and you know, at that point in my life, I had convinced myself that it was good for me, and that I was, you know, more artistic and things like that when I was stoned. And you know, now that I'm 7 months sober, I realized that I was just being an idiot, and it was no way, shape good for me at all. And yeah, you know, it's part of, you know, what I kind of went through.
What has it been like? You say you've been sober for 7 months?
7 months
now?
Yeah.
No marijuana, no alcohol?
Yeah, none whatsoever, no.
What's the difference been as you've been training now to fight again, now that you're sober? Yeah,
just a lot more present. I feel my natural energy levels are a lot higher. My ability to plan a really long day and go through with everything I had planned to do, you know, I actually do everything I was planning on doing now. I just feel better. I feel like I'm dealing with the world and emotions instead of drowning them out with, you know, marijuana, alcohol. You know, I feel set free, and it's really an amazing feeling.
Are you still struggling at times to make the right decision? When you know, we see that you violated your probation, and that with the drag racing, driving without a license, so there have been a couple of incidents recently that some are questioning whether you're sort of all the way back to being responsible person that you need to be. Right.
So, you know, I'm not here to really like make excuses about anything. I got pulled over without my license and registration, things that I actually did have. They were just at home in my office. So, you know, I brought that to court, and that was all dropped immediately. And as far as the drag racing thing, I was never drag racing. I got pulled over for revving my engine, and on a technicality, if you rev your engine at a red light, the moment you start to drive forward, it's considered drag racing. So I I really have been working my hardest to do the right things and to get back on the right foot, I guess I'll say. I've just had some minor issues that, unfortunately, when you are a professional athlete, it gets blown out of proportion.
Yeah, and I think in line with the other things that have happened, certainly when you hear those things, you wonder.
Right,
Let me
red
ask
flag.
you, what's your relationship with Dana White like now?
Dana White, it's healthy. It's healthy. I would say it's good.
Good. You were supposed to fight Daniel Cormier, your rival. He withdrew with an injury, and now we have a situation where it's legal to fight in your home state of New York. So we have the possibility here of fighting him at Madison Square Garden, and you said the question is, will he accept the fight? You know, Daniel Cormier obviously is having a lot of mental struggles when it comes to me. What did you mean by that? You said that on Friday.
Yeah, so Daniel Cormier is a guy who, he's lost to me in the past, and he's a guy who, instead of just accepting that I was a better fighter than him, and I am a better fighter than him, he comes up with a lot of excuses. Like, he'll say things like, oh, this is my first time fighting at this weight class, so I wasn't ready for the change in my body. Or he'll say, oh, it was just such a big fight, I guess I was a little nervous. Or I couldn't train with Cain Velasquez, my #1 training partner, so that's why I lost. And so these are just signs to show me that the guy is, you know, he's mentally, you know, he's reaching for answers of why he can't beat me. So to fight in my backyard in New York State, I think it would be just mentally a huge disadvantage for him. I don't think he's mentally strong enough to take that type of risk.
Do you believe, though, that he was injured? Do you believe in the reasons that he pulled out of this particular?
You know, it's hard to say. I wasn't there in the workout room with him when he got injured, I'll say. But there's been lots of rumors that he was hurt and not injured. And to drop a fight being hurt, you know, it just makes no sense. You know, my body, I have aches and little nicks and crannies all over my body, but it's the cost of being an elite level athlete. You know, you fight through that stuff. So
what does it mean to have the sport come to New York now?
Oh man, it means so much to be able to fight at Madison Square Garden. The Garden is like a fight mecca. You know, Muhammad Ali fought there, Mike Tyson. It's every fighter's dream to fight in the Garden. So I would love to do that one day, to give back to the New York State fans by fighting live for them. More importantly than fighting at the Garden for me is to fight in Rochester, New York. You know, I was actually born in Rochester, New York, and I never really do anything there to give back. I've done nothing there to give back, and it's something that I hold a degree of guilt for. So
really,
yeah, you know, that Rochester, the inner city, especially where I was born and raised, it could use a positive role model and influence or whatnot, and that's something I'm really striving to be. And I feel as if there's a lot of work I could do in New York City, in Rochester, New York. So hopefully I can fight in an arena there.
A real tragedy in the sport as a MMA fighter died in Dublin last week. What concerns do you have? How do you overcome, I guess, the fear factor in regards to your own health when you enter the octagon?
I didn't know that we lost a fighter. What did he?
And I know that your brothers play football, and there's so much in the NFL. There's so much discussion, even about concussions and about health and about your future.
Is that how he died in the ring?
Are these things that he died? Yes, in the octagon.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's a really rare thing to happen. This is the first situation I've ever heard of a fighter dying in the octagon. You know, it's a risk with sports. You know, you can be doing flips on a dirt bike and motocross. You know, drag race.
Is it something that crosses your mind?
It doesn't cross my mind, no, because it's such a rare thing to happen. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever heard of anyone dying in the ring. So I really do believe mixed martial arts is one of the more safe physical sports. You know, the injuries we normally get, you know, obviously concussions are common. But, you know, you get a broken leg here, a broken jaw there. It's nothing like some of these other sports where you get these career-ending injuries.
How do you see your future?
How do I see my future? You know, I see myself turning things around. You know, I've been a pro athlete the majority of my adult life, and the last year has been a really rough one. You know, I really set myself back. And, you know, I see myself in the future getting it all together and doing things right, and ultimately being a magnificent turnaround story of how, you know, an athlete came so close to ruining something so special, and realized that and did something about that, and ultimately became an inspiration to the world on how, you know, it's never too late, and how you should never give up on yourself. So that's how I see myself, just ultimately making a huge positive impact on this world, using this gift that God has given me to do that. And you know, how that happens, you know, just lots of goodness inside and outside of the octagon.
Well, we certainly wish you well on your journey. It's great to see you back.
Thank you.
Jon Bones Jones, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, coming up on